noches. Serie Internacional 2013 de Tiempo de Mercadeo. Yo soy Carlos Fernando Villa. Uno de los temas quizás más calientes, como se dice, del mercadeo es lo que tiene que ver con lo digital, el marketing digital. Y para ello, nadie mejor que Dave Lucas, en el estado de Ohio, en la ciudad de Columbus. Dave es una persona que tiene grandísimos reconocimientos, como quiera, que se ha encargado de manejar todo este tipo de actividades que tienen que ver con la tecnología y el mundo digital del marketing. Dave Lucas, entonces, con nosotros dentro de unos segundos cuando regresemos. Dave, good evening. Welcome to my program. An honor to have you here.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much, Carlos.
Thank you, Dave. Let me start because we have, so many things to talk about with you. But let me start by asking you, what's new in marketing?
That's actually a very big question, right? So what's new in marketing? It seems like there's something new almost every day nowadays across the world, and spanning so many different types of marketing too. As you and I were speaking before the show, we were talking about how there's almost marketing niched for every single type of situation nowadays. In fact,
yes, religious marketing, cultural marketing, sports marketing, political marketing, every type of marketing.
Right, and it seems, it's almost too much, right? We're constantly bombarded by marketing messages of some sort in our lives. So, what's maybe new in marketing is that some of the smart people have gone back to keeping it very simple. Sometimes the simplest messages are what get through the most. And so, in our business.
Yeah, I remember the power of simplicity that we wrote some years ago.
Yeah, so, in our business that we have, one of the things we're constantly asking, how do we get maximum effectiveness, but keep it simple, make it easy for somebody to understand so that they can get the message simply and that it sticks with them, and obviously it calls them to the action that we want. Ultimately, in marketing, you're calling someone to action for, what it is you want them to do. So I think, as you've seen and we've seen around the world as we get bombarded by more and more stuff, we kind of gloss over. I mean, how many people are surfing the net every day and getting hit with messages over and over again?
That might be the newest. I mean, what technology has done on marketing. Because, that's the big influence it has been in marketing lately. I mean, in the history, I would say.
Oh, it's totally revolutionized things. In fact, you look at the internet and it's amazing, and let's put it this way: we probably know enough to be dangerous, right? But what's really going on behind the scenes of what can be done, I mean, they can track you on everything you're doing. You go to a site like yahoo.com, you have your email there, they're reading everything that you're doing, they're following you. You go to, and then they turn around and market to you based on your interests and everything. Facebook is classic. I mean, Facebook, you see, these people that play the games, right? They're on Farmville or whatever it is for 2 hours. Well,
yeah, you are specializing in technology. And technology is revolutionizing, market all over the world. I mean, even I read recently that in 10, 15 years, regular shopping malls are going to be out of the place because, technology.
Almost obsolete, right? The Amazons of the world and everything else coming into play.
Do you agree with that?
I still think that people like to be tangible. I still think that they like to hold something, go look at it and stuff. So, do I think that'll totally be obsolete? Maybe not. I think maybe you may see some shrinkage. Maybe they'll be smaller. Maybe the mega mall won't be such a big thing. It'll be more of a cultural experience. In fact, we're in Columbus, Ohio today, and one of the things that we have here that is
Easton. What is Easton going to do?
Well, Easton kind of brings in that cultural experience. It's outdoors, it's area, there's restaurants, you can walk, and that sort of thing versus your traditional just where you go in the mall and you have all the stores. So there's that cultural and that atmosphere, that community.
Yeah, people are going to be socializing all the time. I mean, people are going to be people, no matter what.
Well, and the advent of the internet and social media has done that to us too. And as I was saying before, we were talking about marketing like Facebook. Somebody goes and plays these games for a couple hours and they're sitting there. Well, everything they've done on Facebook has been tracked. And so those ads down the side of the page are being, specifically targeted to them. So, we already are being predisposed to this sense of community, right? But we're not going to spend all of our day in front of a computer looking at a screen, right? So then, where do we go next? Well, you go to a place of community because you have that sense and you want to be around, those people and stuff. So, to come back full circle on that question, really, from a mall standpoint, I think you're going to see maybe smaller, but more of that community, more of that outdoor, more of the get together for some food and do a little shopping and stuff, and just have that where everybody comes together versus just going to a mall and finding a store and shopping.
What do you think that means to the marketers? I mean, what are we going to have to do?
Well, it's an interesting thing. The internet's gonna continue to gain market share. At least I believe. I
Absolutely,
think
no
it's gonna
question about
continue
it.
to grow. So, the Amazons and the niche products and stuff, the niche companies like that are, going to continue to gain market share. So, the biggest.
Let me tell you something. I just read that Amazon and eBay will have at least 10% of the retail business in the world by the year 2015. I think that 10% is a huge amount of market share. I don't know if it is going to happen or not, but you and I know that Amazon and eBay are getting more and more customers every day.
Well, and as I said, it's not just those are the big names, right? But there's all these little niche type of companies popping up that are specific to a certain thing. I mean, you can go search anything nowadays that you want to purchase, and there's multiple sites for it, right? So, that's one of our businesses that we have.
Yeah,
is,
that's
is
what we're going to ask. Because
around
you are in that business.
around investing products, right? It's very niched. It's specific, programs to help, investors and people that trade, in the markets become better, right? And so we have a series of products that we work with. In fact, Trading Concepts, who's the company that it's under, out of Michigan, has been around since 1987. Did direct marketing through mail for years, but over the last 5 to 8 years, it's gone, a total opposite way now to the internet, because obviously you can reach more people, you can give them more.
Cheaper too.
It's less expensive, but you can give them more online because you can refresh the content versus a marketing piece that's sent to the doorstep in the mail. And so it just allows you a lot more leverage in the ability to connect with your client, your consumer, your prospect. And that's a trend that's going to continue to be redefined and redefined. In fact, we were talking before we got here, and there was one of the books that we were talking about was one talking about selling and marketing to the digital age in China. And I made a remark that you could probably rewrite that book every year at this point, because it's going to continue. We haven't even gotten into what can be done in the mobile sphere yet in this conversation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's...
By the way, you're writing a book, aren't you?
I am. I'm actually, it's going to print now. It's finished. It's called The 10-Year Career, the fast track guide to retiring young, wealthy, and fulfilled. So it's all about, doing the right things right. Even if you're just starting out, or if you have gotten to a point in your life and you're looking for a way to even get yourself to the next level. It's everything that I've learned. I took about a 5-6 year journey where I went and learned from the top mentors in the world that I could find, and went to whether it was conferences or sat down with them and learned everything I could and put it all together into this book so that it's easy, it's concise, and it's one of those books you can just pick a chapter up and read. I want to get better at time management. Okay, I'm going to read the chapter on time management, and put some things to practice, and it's segmented like that. So it's gotten great reviews. It was actually, the blurb for the book was written by Brian Tracy, who's an international best-selling author and known as a kind of the sales and one of the marketing experts out of the United States. So it's pretty exciting. It's going to be released here probably within the next month.
Dave, before we get into many details we have to talk about, we're going to go to a commercial break and we'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
Vamos a ir a una serie de comerciales y ya estamos de nuevo con ustedes. Ya regresamos. Dave, we're back. Before we get into many details, let me ask you something. How is technology affecting advertising? Because, regular advertising is going down.
Right.
Advertising in the internet, in blogs, and it's going up.
I think, it's the traditional forms that you're used to of advertising, print and that sort of thing. I think we see it. We see newspapers are smaller, they're shrinking, that sort of thing. With the advent of social media, the Twitter of the world, the LinkedIn's, the Facebooks, the community that we've kind of already discussed, it's, again, it's always about repetition. I mean, I think any marketers will tell you that, the more that you are consistently in front of somebody, obviously, the more they're apt to recognize you and that sort of thing. I think brand awareness, definitely. But, you can market so much faster and make changes on the fly with these new forms of, in these mediums of marketing. Twitter, you can put an ad out today in seconds. You can change it up. Hey, come to my restaurant. We're offering $5 off our,
just today.
Our thing today. Come on in now, or hey, 20 minutes before lunch hits, you can tweet out to all the people that are on your Twitter account and say, hey, we're doing a lunch special today. Buy 2 or more entrees and receive half off. So you can do that, and it's kind of that instant gratification, which we as human beings, I think, are disposed to more than anything, right? We want that instant gratification, and so being in front of us like that and being able to hit us at these specific times and be able to market that way is something that you just can't do in the traditional print and everything else. It's just, it's revolutionizing.
Not even on TV. I mean, not even on TV, because you have to wait until the program is show and react.
Exactly. You see a commercial and, great, you see the commercial, but you're on to watching the show and stuff. But you're, 20, 30 minutes before lunch and Chipotle hits you with a tweet saying, come on in for half off your burrito. Hey, I'm going to go to Chipotle today. So, it's just it's a different world, right?
You like Chipotle, don't you?
I do like Chipotle. Chipotle is excellent. So, very good. But it's just a different world that we're in now. And it really is. I say this a lot when we're talking to clients and everything. It is it's instant gratification. We stop the microwave with 3 seconds left. We can't even wait 3 seconds for the microwave to finish any longer, right? The browser doesn't open up fast enough. We close it out and get a new one. So we're predisposed to want everything now. And so, in our technology business, Grasp Technologies, one of the things that we've done a very good job at is creating a platform, because we do business intelligence software, that's very simple and easy to use so that, the customer can get what they want in seconds and have it at their fingertips. And that, I think, is key, because we live in this fast-paced business world that is going 24/7, and people need it, and they need it now. And you got to be able to cater to that.
Besides, and that's much better than me, the cookies and whatever you do in the web, then it will allow you to follow the customers, the prospects, the market, and everything, and that will allow you to do a lot of things that otherwise would be really difficult.
And yes, and that goes back to our conversation that we had a little bit earlier about sites like Yahoo and Google and Facebook and everything. They're literally tracking the moves that you're making, and it's
because there is no more privacy.
Oh, it's very little in today's age now. It's because everything's being categorized too. So the more you're doing on the internet, obviously, is making a difference in the way that you're found on search engines. I mean, if you go Google yourself on Google, what do you find? A lot of times you're going to find your LinkedIn page, your Facebook page, and everything, because you're refreshing that content so much. So people are going to be able to see more and more about your life and what you're doing, at least that you want to share. And so it's a great thing, but it also can be a challenging thing if you're not smart about the way that you do things. A perfect example is that we've seen that, and I've seen this, and I deal with a lot of other business owners and everything, but a lot of employers now are checking your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page. They're checking on you, and some people don't get hired because of the things that they put on.
Not only community managers, but employers.
Employers. Yeah. In fact, I used to, before owning my own business and stuff, I used to work in, a Fortune 500 company, corporate America, excellent company, a national company, and towards the end of my tenure there, we would do that. When we had an interview, we'd go look at their LinkedIn, their Facebook page, and everything to see what was up. Because if they're showing that they're partying and drinking and all this stuff, and that's all they're about, well, that's a telltale sign of something that maybe a challenge in having them as an employee. So versus the person who's putting up the different books that they're reading or the the marketing events they're going to or whatever. So not to say it's going to make the decision, but it certainly has some effect on the decision.
Right,
nowadays.
Influence, yes, and that means that people, customers, prospects are going to get involved into the marketing process more and more every day.
Absolutely, they already are. Right?
Yeah, they already are.
and now it's like generation 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. How do you do it more and more? In fact, there are people that literally their job is social media for companies now, right? They have a social media director.
Although
now.
they're not paid for it.
Some are.
Some are, but most aren't.
Yeah, in fact, there are strategists, consultants that actually get hired by companies. I know one here in Columbus, Ohio. In fact, I'll give him a shameless plug, I guess, on the show. His name's Nate Riggs. And he, for a long time, consulted and, he's now an adjunct professor, I think, at Ohio University and some other things. But he would get hired by companies and paid big money to come in and set up their social media programs. and then teach and train people how to manage them to maximum efficiency. There's a huge market for that now, and there's people that do that every day, and they've made entire huge businesses out of it. So the trend is, don't fight the tide. The trend's going to continue, and I think if you most companies, especially larger organizations, if they don't have a social media expert managing that stuff on a daily basis for them, they will in the near future.
Dave, we're going to have to go to another commercial break. So we'll be right back, okay? Vamos entonces a ir a otra tanda de comerciales y ya estamos de nuevo con ustedes y con Dave Lucas. Okay. Today we have to talk about what you do in your company, but we'll talk about that next week because now I would like to ask you about how service to customer is being affected by technology or marketing.
Well, I think that's a kind of a double-edged sword. It can either greatly help you or it can greatly hurt you, depending on how you use it.
Kill you, yeah.
Because if you just go to all technology and automate everything and lose that contact with the customer, I think it can be very detrimental. In fact, in our business, one of the things that we take pride in is the way we do our service in our technology firm. And we're very much, we use some platforms and programs to help manage, and track things and all that type of stuff. But I think what's really, really important is to never lose sight of those people on the ground, right? The customer, the people that have their needs and the changes that happen rapidly, especially in our business. We deal in the travel industry. And so we deal specifically with business intelligence and reporting. So those changes, from a travel agency, which is our primary customer, and we work with a lot of corporations as well too. But the challenge is that by default, every one of those agencies has hundreds of customers that have needs that change on a daily basis. And you have to be able to adapt to that. And you can't do that with an automated system. We have to have people on the front lines that are talking with our customers every day, clarifying things, with them, updating them, everything, or we wouldn't survive. And I think that's something that, if you put too much automation in and you lose that, it can greatly hurt your business, especially in a software type business like ours.
Talking about travel agencies, that's something I like. They have to change a lot because they're not selling tickets anymore. They're just, servicing customers and telling customers where to go, what to do, things about the place they're going to visit or the place they're going to go to. So the core business of travel agencies or travel services is been so much different now.
Yeah, it's drastically different than it used to be. The travel agency, I'll tell you what, these people are amazing. They really are. They're getting squeezed from every side, and a lot of things where they used to get commission off of, they can't as much anymore, and so
the airlines are selling tickets online.
Right, and you have that type of stuff, and so the fun thing to watch is how innovative that these agencies are and what they do, because they find so many ways to better service their clients and give them a better experience, right? I mean, all of us can go book a ticket online. All of us can go book a hotel online, but the real power of a travel agent or a travel agency is just that sheer knowledge that they have. You can't, unless you're going to go do all the research and everything yourself, and spend all the time to do it, you can't replace that. So it's the knowledge, it's that, it's that experience that you can't buy, right? And it's that that ability that a lot of these agents, these frontline agents have, but then the ability of the business behind them to manage and adapt. Because as I said, we do a lot with agencies that do all kinds of travel, leisure, business, and all that. But a lot of our platforms help with the business side of things, because that environment. I mean, you think about a corporation. A corporation has all these needs to be able to track and understand what's happening in their travel program. Not just where their travelers are for duty of care, because that's most important, but also to be able to manage that business and be able to manage it better, right? So, how much are we spending on X, or, are we doing this correctly, and that sort of thing. And so our software helps provide all that, with the agency back to the business, or for the corporation directly if they work with us. And so that the agency has to understand that information side of it too, and be able to make recommendations to that corporation and say, if you're doing this, it will save you cost here. If you do this, it'll make you more efficient. If you do this, it'll make your program better in these ways. And so it's almost a consultative type role that they've evolved into, not just fulfilling travel, but they have to understand all the sides of it from the beginning all the way to the end, and how to fulfill that. And so, other things like social media and different things have come in there. In fact, one of our partners is a company called TripLingo, And if you haven't seen this before, it's really, really unique. It's an iPhone application.
I was going to ask about the impact of technology with the mobile devices, mobile phones, iPads, iPods, you name it. And that's made a lot of influence, that has had a lot of influence in the marketing field.
Well, exactly. In fact, one of the things that I like about TripLingo, one of the reasons we partnered with them, is what the application is. It's a little iPhone app.
Let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
What's TripLingo? How do you spell it?
Trip.
Yeah, for people to take a look at the
Lingo.
website.
Oh, triplingo.com.
Okay.
TripLingo.com.
Good.
And what Jesse Maddox and his team have created is essentially a little application that does all your translating and everything for you with phrases for the country you're in and all that stuff so that you can communicate better. And that you can help, understand the culture and all that, all self-contained. You can be on a flight to Colombia, and you can be studying, the culture of Colombia and how to act the best in a dinner situation.
In the mobile phone.
Yeah, right from your phone.
Yeah.
And it's going to give you your different phrases you can create, like whatever you want to ask. You can create the phrase and it'll save it for you, or it'll translate on the fly. You could speak Spanish into it, it'll translate English to me. I can speak English and it'll translate Spanish to you. And it's a little app, and it they give a whole free version of it too.
Is that the same as Siri or anything like it?
No, it's totally different. In fact, you'd have to go and, I urge you, go check it out. You can get a free version of it. But, it does all the translating and everything and has all the cultural stuff that you need specific to where you're going, which is, and they add new countries all the time. So it's very niched and very specific for those traveling, that want to be able to communicate better and understand, the culture of where they're going. But if you think about that, one of the reasons that we partner with them and we talk about the new age, right, and marketing and all that sort of thing, well, what if we could help travel agencies understand how people are communicating in an area, or where they're having the most trouble communicating? Because TripLingo's application understands this and has this data. So they can work with us and we can show travel agents where people are having the most trouble communicating, where they're asking the most questions, what they're asking about type stuff as a general, obviously not specific to a person, but think about that ability to give a travel agent, hey, you're going to this destination. Did you know that a lot of people are asking about this specific restaurant? You may want to check that out.
Absolutely.
Talk about how that comes into marketing and how that makes a big difference for servicing a client. It's, those are some of the things that we're working on at Grasp with our partners like TripLingo.
Dave, so sad. We have to say goodbye for tonight, but we'll continue next week, okay?
Excellent.
Are you enjoying the program?
Oh, it's great. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for being here. Ven que hay demasiado para hablar con Dave Lucas y vamos a continuar con él la próxima semana. Por el momento les decimos muchas gracias, una feliz noche, los esperamos dentro de una semana.
Too much, right? We're constantly bombarded by marketing messages of some sort in our lives. So, what's maybe new in marketing is that some of the smart people have gone back to keeping it very simple. Sometimes the simplest messages are what get through the most. And so, in our business.
Yeah, I remember the power of simplicity that we wrote some years ago.
Yeah, so, in our business that we have, one of the things we're constantly asking, how do we get maximum effectiveness, but keep it simple, make it easy for somebody to understand so that they can get the message simply and that it sticks with them, and obviously it calls them to the action that we want. Ultimately, in marketing, you're calling someone to action for, what it is you want them to do. So I think, as you've seen and we've seen around the world as we get bombarded by more and more stuff, we kind of gloss over. I mean, how many people are surfing the net every day and getting hit with messages over and over again?
That might be the newest. I mean, what technology has done on marketing. Because, that's the big influence it has been in marketing lately. I mean, in the history, I would say.
Oh,
Let's start by asking you, what's new on marketing?
That's actually a very big question, right? So what's new in marketing? It seems like there's something new almost every day nowadays across the world, and spanning so many different types of marketing too. As you and I were speaking before the show, we were talking about how there's almost marketing niched for every single type of situation nowadays. In fact,
Yes, religious marketing, cultural marketing, sports marketing, political marketing, every type of marketing.
right, and it seems, you know, almost it's almost
Con lo digital, el marketing digital, y para ello nadie mejor que Dave Lucas, en el estado de Ohio, en la ciudad de Columbus. Dave es una persona que tiene grandísimos reconocimientos, como quiera, que se ha encargado de manejar todo este tipo de actividades que tienen que ver con la tecnología y el mundo digital del marketing. Dave Lucas entonces con nosotros dentro de unos segundos cuando regresemos. Dave, good evening, welcome to my program. An honor to have you here.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you very much, Carlos.
Thank you, Dave. Let me start because we have, so many things to talk about with you. But let me Muy buenas noches. Serie Internacional 2013 de Tiempo de Mercadeo. Yo soy Carlos Fernando Villa. Uno de los temas quizás más calientes, como se dice, del mercadeo es lo que tiene que ver